Hey guys, welcome back to another music review. And today we're going to be talking about some rock music. And today we're going to be talking about Our Lady Peace and Stone Temple Pilots. Now, I've been doing a lot of bands, and I like to try and do bands that are kind of somewhat unknown or kind of out of the time period. So people, that maybe never heard of them will find out about them. And Our Lady Peace is one of those bands. Our Lady Peace had some songs, like Somewhere Out There, Whatever, um, One Man's Army, One Man Army, Superman's Dead. Um, Now, if you're a wrestling fan, Whatever used to be Chris Benoit's theme song. I know we don't want to talk about him too much, but the Whatever song was actually Benoit's thing, which I wasn't aware of until I was kind of researching this. But this band is really good, but you never really hear much about them because I think people know the songs, but they don't know who sings them. So if you look up Our Lady Peace, you're going to be surprised because you're going to be like, oh yeah, I know that song, because they're one of those bands where the songs get really, really overplayed, but sometimes you just forget who sings them. And this is one of those bands. It's a great band. They just never really got the recognition, mainstream wise per se, like on TV and everything. They definitely should be in your collection though. If you're a rock fan, Our Lady Peace is definitely, like, if you like Creed or Stone Temple Pilots, or like just basically like rock bands, like not overly like hard rock, but because they're not really overly hard rock. They fit in that mold of kind of like not as hard as Stone Temple Pilots, but they could go there. I think they do go there occasionally, but not very much. But most of the time they keep it pretty like Creed, like heavy. And Creed sometimes gets a little heavy, so it's actually below Creed. Probably more like between Matchbox 20 and Creed is probably basically where they're at. The only reason why I said Matchbox 20 is because it's in the next video I'm going to be doing. So yeah, but Our Lady Peace is really good. If you haven't checked them out, definitely check them out. They've got a lot of great songs. Basically just a rock band. They've got a good sound to them though, and they're kind of the easy, kind of like, I guess, one of those rock bands where you can just put on and kind of easy to listen to. So not a bad band at all. The second band, let's talk about Stone Temple Pilots. Now, I can do, and I probably might do later on down the road, I might do a full-on review of Stone Temple Pilots. And there's a lot of bands I probably will want to go back and revisit and just do a full video on just single bands. If there's certain bands you see in these videos, the music reviews that I do, that you want a full-on review, let me know. I will definitely do it. I just did one on Metallica. I did a 20-minute video almost. I think it was like 19 minutes and so many seconds, but it was a long review, and I went into depth, except for like the first few Metallica albums, because there's really nothing much to talk about in my eyes. But I want to. Stone Temple Pilots might be one of those I do down the road. But they have some great songs: Plush, Between the Lines, Dead and Bloated, Wicked Garden, Down. What was the one? Did I put that one on there? No, that's some other band. I'm thinking of another band. But their core album is my favorite album of theirs. They're really, all their albums are amazing. I mean, Stone Temple Pilots, I don't think, except for some of the later ones, like, yeah, some of the later ones I'm not a huge fan of. I think Thank You, I think that's the name of the album. It has like one single, I think, on it that really blew up. One or two, I think, but I'm not really a huge fan of it. But their albums are amazing. They'll blow you away if you've never heard like anything of Stone Temple Pilots and you're not really aware of who they are. Even if you only know like maybe a few of their songs off the radio, you would, if you never listened and sat down and went to Spotify and just listened to Stone Temple Pilots, you're gonna get blown away because they are so good. Like, they are one of those bands, and I just said that about Our Lady Peace, but this is one of those bands where from the radio, and you know who they are, you know what they sing, they have multiple tracks on the radio, but you never really sat down and listened to all their albums and never really understood why they were so popular. And this is one of those bands where you go back and listen to the albums and you're like, wow, they actually have more than just what's on the radio that's like super good. And they're one of those bands that, like, most of their album is super awesome. Like, not many songs on the album is bad, and I love those bands that are out there. I think Shinedown kind of fits in that category too. With Stone Temple Pilots, is that they don't really have many bad songs. Like, most of their songs are pretty good. They don't put a lot of filler songs on their albums. They really don't. And Stone Temple Pilots is basically one of those because they're super good, and that's why they landed the test of time. And they could still be around today if Scott Weiland didn't want to go off and do other projects and things. But And who knows? They may get back together and get another singers down the road. It seems like bands, when they get older, they seem to be like, okay, well, we need money, and this is how we got our fame, so we're going to go back to doing what we're doing. And most of the time, the singers aren't really on board, or they're doing other things because they're famous. You know, the singers are always easy to get famous because they're the singers. They can go off and do whatever, and then make solo albums, whatever. But the bands usually are the ones that struggle, and they usually get other singers to come on board and do the band that got them famous, you know. So this is one of those bands that really stands the test of time. So if you've never heard Stone Temple Pilots, if you've never heard Our Lady Peace, go check them out. Two great bands, and definitely worth your time. Definitely, if you've never heard either one of these bands, you definitely gotta go check them out, because they're just definitely, they're worth being in your library. At least an album, a piece of them. Find the favorite one and, on Spotify, and get it if you've never seen it. Because I mean, we don't know how long Spotify is going to be around. Who knows? It may go down tomorrow or something because of some stupid lawsuit. Some money hungry artist is not getting enough money and complaining about it or something. Because that's probably how it's going to go down anyway. Anyway, hope you guys enjoyed the video. Like, comment, subscribe. Down below, let me know your comments on both these bands. And as always, keep rocking and keep on jamming to some tunes and music and all that jazz. Yeah, let's keep on rocking.